All right, we are back here talking Super Bowl 56. The Los Angeles Rams are your new Super Bowl champions. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20 on Sunday night. Joining me today to recap, it's become an annual tradition here on the podcast. The host of the Sharp Cheddar podcast here, Joe D'Aloisio. Joe, how are you?
Mike, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on as always. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I mean, Super Bowl was fun. I thought the game was a lot better than the one we got last year, and I think it was nice to be a little more normal than we were last year.
Yeah, things certainly seemed and felt a little bit more normal in terms of the game overall. I mean, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was the greatest Super Bowl. I didn't think it was the worst Super Bowl. It was really in between. I didn't feel like any team did anything particularly well that surprised me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the two of the previous three were duds because you had that low scoring Patriot Ram one. Then you had the last year's game, which was a blowout because Tampa couldn't, I mean, Kansas City couldn't stop Tampa's pass rush. So I think this one being competitive the whole way through was nice change pace.
Oh, without a doubt, and the fact that Cincinnati had a chance at the end, that always makes it great. And it kind of wrapped up the entire theme of the postseason as of late of these close last drive kind of walk-off wins, which was nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, before we get into the game here, I got to ask you, in the age of the legalized sports betting in New York, I'm sure you put some shekels down the Super Bowl. How did you do?
Yeah, well, this is actually going to surprise you. I opted not to put any shekels down. I know for the podcast purpose, that doesn't help our conversation. I did have a few Super Bowl boxes that didn't come close to hitting, so that's always a plus. So my shekels were dedicated to some bigger Super Bowl boxes that were unsuccessful. With that being said, I did have a potential 7-leg monster parlay that I was contemplating about pregame that I did not put in. And what was in that game? What was in that parlay? I have it written down, so I need to look it up. It was somewhat outrageous, but not really. Cooper Kupp anytime score, which is nice.
Makes sense.
Yep, 60 plus yards for Cooper Kupp on the alternative line. Higgins plus 50 yards on the alternative line. Rams win margin between 1 and 13. Rams money line, and I would have obviously hit all of those with ease, but where I would have gotten burnt and I would have went home as a loser, I had Samaje Perine over 10.5 receiving yards and Burrow over 11.5 rushing. So, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have hit because both of those were nowhere near the number. So I didn't spread as many shekels as I potentially could have. Well, how about yourself? How did you do?
I did pretty well. I mean, I think I did better on my DraftKings like bets than the FanDuel ones. DraftKings, I did miss a parlay by like a smidge because I think the Ram money line, Odell anytime scorer, Matthew Stafford over 290 passes. I finished 283s. I missed that by 7 yards. Would have won like about $1.50, which would have been nice.
Oh, that would have been a nice hit, buddy.
Yeah, I had a couple Evan McPherson props hit because I was big on him. I had a couple of like Odell things going on there. I got an odds boost in the mix here. No boxes either, so we're on the same page with the boxes.
Yeah, I mean, the boxes were an absolute disaster. I am the equivalent of boxes as Aaron Rodgers is in Super Bowl. You know, I won my one Super Bowl. I won my one box once. And then I don't think I've won a box since at this rate. So I don't know. Maybe I should pack it in.
Yeah, speaking of the boxes, I got a box etiquette question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me know if you ever heard of this. Apparently, the order of the teams on the sheet matters. Apparently, they're supposed to put the home team on the top of the boxes and the road team on the side. Is that something you've ever heard of before?
Yes, I've seen some people follow that. I've seen some not. I don't think that bothers me that much. If you're talking etiquette, what I'm more concerned about with the boxes, especially for those that run the box, if you win, take care of the person that won. You know that set up and organize the box. I don't like those people that hit big and then they don't give a few back for the person who runs it.
Yeah, well, I'll speak just in terms of box etiquette. I'm going to point out here, like, my dad was, some coworkers were in a pool where, like, they got handed sheets of big money boxes. I think it's like, there's like, I think 5 of them have to split box, tells you how expensive the boxes were. So,
oh, wow.
Handed out, and then it says at the top, like, it says on the top, like, Rams on the top, Bengals on the side. I think it's supposed to be reverse. So then the guy who runs the pool after the sheet comes out says, like, sorry, guys, it's reversed. Like, I think that's Bush League.
Oh, well, listen, if it was originally printed and numbers are drawn, then that's what it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Where was it then changed after the fact?
No, the copy that he had was like the original version, and they would have hit a box, and now they are not. They're out of luck.
No, that I have an issue with that. That I have a huge issue with.
I do too, because they would have split like five, like it's nice little sum of money 5 ways. Now they're not happy about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy about that either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back to that organizer though. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Let's go somewhere else in here. We're not too happy here, which for me is the fact that the officiating played such a big role in down the stretch of this game. I mean, obviously they have the big gaffe in the third quarter where they missed the face mask from T. Higgins on when he toast Jalen Ramsey for the touchdown. Other than that, the game's pretty quiet. You're going, wow, the refs are not involved. It's just playing out. All of a sudden, at the end, flag, couple of questionable flags. We got people on Twitter saying that the game is rigged. Did it bother you how much the referees got involved at the end of that game?
No, not at all. And I didn't think they were involved. I didn't think their decision making played a role in the outcome of this game. And I think that's a lazy narrative for anyone that is complaining about the officiating in the Super Bowl. If anything, I thought they let them play. I mean, we'll use an everyday analogy, I guess. So, yes, did they miss a flag on T. Higgins? Absolutely. All right. But did they get the right call at the end of the game with the holding of Cooper Kupp? I think so. I think we could agree on that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mean, like if we're gonna pick and choose and dissect every single play, I mean, for goodness sakes, like the referees are gonna obviously play an outcome, but you know, I didn't really have a problem with it. I had more of an issue that they didn't call that pass interference on T. Higgins.
Yeah.
That was so egregious. I had more of an issue that they didn't call that than the fact that they called it at the end of the game when it should have been called.
Yeah, I think the one at the end of the game I have an issue with is not the holding call. I think the one couple plays before was like a phantom pass interference call that basically turned the fourth down to a first and goal. That was a big issue.
Yeah, okay. Again, a play like that, I mean, it's a 50-50 call. It's luck of the draw. I mean, I hate to say it, but you could, again, go back to earlier in the game when T. Higgins completely mauls Jalen Ramsey and you get nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't, I'm not going to dive into it that much, but I don't think that the officiating had any impact in this game. All right. You want to talk about impact in the game? How about the fact that Joe Burrow got sacked, 8 times, 7 of those times in the second half or whatever that number was? Like, I think that has a bigger impact than that last play.
Yeah, that's definitely somewhere I was going here because I feel like obviously go back to the offseason of the Bengals, the whole thing at the draft was should protect Joe Burrow, should give him a weapon. They chose to give him a weapon with Jamar Chase. Obviously, that worked out great for them because he's the rookie of the year offensively. He's the go-to guy. He's making big plays throughout the season. That offensive line was never fixed. That offensive line allowed Joe Burrow to get sacked 7 times. And to me, that's why they lost the football game.
100%. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Joe Burrow got smacked all season long. I mean, this isn't like, don't get me wrong, the pass rush for the Rams is great, but Joe Burrow's been knocked down over and over and over all season long. I mean, that was their weakest, the weakest part of this team. And I'll be honest with you, they don't fix that. It's not going to be easy to get back to where they just were. I mean, look, I'll use my team. Rodgers has only been there once. He hasn't been back. It's not a guarantee that, in your second year you get there, you're going to go back. There is no guarantee. And one thing for sure, you don't have that offensive line to protect you. I mean, I got nervous. I thought Joe Burrow got hurt. He was going to not come back in that game. I mean, they need to build that offensive line.
Yeah, because I know it turns out offensive line. That sequence thinks something of the best is again right after the T. Higgins touchdown, Matthew Stafford throws a pick, and then you're saying, "Oh, great, the Bengals can go for the kill. They can go get a score." Couple big sacks in that drive, they're kicking a field goal instead. That keeps the Rams in the game.
Big time. I mean, you turn that into 7 right there. We're talking about a way different outcome.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, you go back and watch that final play where Joe Burrow has to heave it or just try to get it out of his hands and not take a sack. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the highlight, but he's got Jamar Chase wide open down the field.
Yeah.
Offensive line.
It's definitely, I feel like, a mirror of that Tennessee game they played in the divisional round where Burrow was sacked 9 times. The only difference was that Tennessee kept turning the football over and making mistakes, costing themselves the game. The Rams made fewer mistakes and were able to overcome it.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, you think about the mistakes that the Rams made. I mean, the biggest one could have been that second half interception by Matthew Stafford. I mean, that could have been nailed in the coffin. Momentum completely the other way. The other interception that Stafford had, I mean, he basically threw it into the opposing end zone. That didn't do detrimental damage as what could have been if the Bengals capitalized.
Yeah, and obviously Stafford throws 2 picks in the game. So in terms of the MVP conversation, he basically took himself out with the 2 picks. Cooper Cup ends up winning the MVP. I think his final line is like 8 for 92 with 2 touchdowns. It's that line will get it to you. But to me, I think they gave it to the wrong guy. I think Aaron Donald should have been the MVP because he was all over that football game. He makes the signature play at the end when he breaks through, gets to Burrow, nearly has the sack. Burrow throws away. And like part of me wonders like if he actually gotten the sack on that play, they would have given him the awards to that cup.
Okay, so Donald made the signature play on defense, but who made the signature play on offense?
Yeah, Cooper Cup did.
And who has, and I know it's the Super Bowl, right? And you're only looking at the Super Bowl in that one game. But I mean, I think you look at the entire package. I don't know. I understand why a lot of people want to give it to Aaron Donald. You know, it could be potentially his last game. He could be stepping away from it. But I don't think the Rams win without Kupp's performance. I think they could have still won if Aaron Donald wasn't there and you implement some other player.
Yeah, also the thing that helps Cooper Cup also is that Odell Beckham went down the first half of the knee injury after he catches that early touchdown, and they have no one else to throw to because obviously Skronik's still dropping passes. Van Jefferson can't really get open. It's really Cooper Cup or nothing for that offense.
And I'll tell you what, I give Cooper Cup even more credit because now as a Cincinnati Bengals defense, you know where the ball's going. And Cooper Cup was still able to get his in that second half once Odell got hurt, which completely changed the game.
Oh, it absolutely.
And Stafford was still able to get the ball to Cooper Cup. So, I mean, I give it to him. That guy deserved it. He had a hell of a year.
Yeah, and I think we take a little bit, because I think we kind of hit both the big points of the game because it was pretty ho-hum other than that. I mean, you had the Rams go out early, the Bengals control for a bit, and they're going to pull away. So I think the big thing here, the Rams come back, Rams win this game. I think a whole lot of legacies changed now that they have this trophy on their trophy case.
Yeah, I mean, I think a legacy. I mean, Stafford's legacy changes tremendously. Aaron Donald, Von Miller getting another one, Jalen Ramsey. I mean, they pushed all their pieces, all the chips right into the middle and said, "Here we are going all in," and they ended up winning it. I mean, there's nothing else you could really say. You got to give them credit. If they would have fell up short, I mean, they would have reaped the consequence of pushing, I mean, going all in. I mean, that's the name of the game. That's the chance you take. You know, if you go all in and it works, great. If it doesn't, it could be kind of bleak for the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also Sean McVay goes in that tree too. Because if he had lost a second Super Bowl with clearly the better teams, how they jumped out of the game would have been a big issue for him.
Oh, without a doubt, and I'm happy for Sean McVay becoming the youngest coach in the NFL to win one, and I don't think he's done there. I think he may have some more in his pocket.
Yeah, I think the point you brought up the team building thing is interesting too, because the Rams have been for years been doing what the opposite of the league's general mentality is. Oh, like build through the draft, use your first round picks, get young homegrown talent. The Rams said, screw that. We're trading them all for stars. They traded like 2 for Stafford. They gave 2 for Jalen Ramsey. They traded once for Brandon Cooks back in the day. They traded a bunch for Von Miller, and they won a ring. So now you wonder if this is sustainable for them. More teams are going to try and duplicate and say, hey, let's just, we don't know if we can get the first round pick. And if we are kind of ability to find mid round gems like Cooper Cup and so on. So why don't we just push our big chips in, get the proven stars, and just build around them?
I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, the NFL is not the NBA where the super teams, you build it in free agency. It doesn't work that way in the NFL. The Rams are an exception for being able to pull off what they just did. Think about the teams that have won as of late. A good example of that, a good nucleus of that team is draft and develop. I mean, there's just way too many guys on the field. You need to be successful in the draft.
Oh, you do. And I think the thing we mentioned also, the Bengals losing this game. I know it's very tempting to say, you know what, they're young, they have a very talented core, they'll be back. But as you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers been to 1 Super Bowl. Dan Marino went to 1 his second year, never went back. I mean, you're not guaranteed to get back there, and being that close, having it slip out of your fingers, that's be devastating.
No, of course. I mean, I can only imagine what they're going through. And as someone who roots for the Packers and has only seen Aaron Rodgers get there once, I mean, and me thinking, after he got there, saying, we could see a few of these. I'm expecting a few of these, and to not even play in one and another one. I mean, it's crazy to think about. And can they do it? Can they eventually get back there? Yeah, I think so. But this team really needs to change a few things. I mean, you look at all season long how they've won. They came through. Evan McPherson was huge all season long, huge. I mean, a couple of those kicks, a couple of those drives go the other way. They're not in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And the AFC is not going to be easy for them either because I mean, you got Kansas City, you got Buffalo, the Chargers are on the way up. There's a lot of good teams in that conference.
No, the path isn't easy. I mean, it's a step in the right direction for the Cincinnati Bengals. And, this was a team that was bottom of the bottom and they got to the Super Bowl quick. I just don't envision another team doing something what we just saw in Cincinnati anytime soon.
Absolutely. Let's sort of wrap up the Super Bowl here. Talk a little NFL offseason as we always do here. And we'll go to the local thing here. I'm going to sort of ask you to do the pick your fire approach here. In 5 years, we're having this conversation. Which of the New York teams is a better position, the Jets or the Giants?
I'm going to say the New York Jets at the moment because I think they have their quarterback in Zach Wilson. Um, I think we'll have a better understanding or a better idea of what the Giants are after this year. Okay. Because, if it ends up working out with Daniel Jones, then I guess you have your guy. But a lot of me says that he's not your guy and he's not going to be the franchise guy, which you're kind of, once you're in that quarterback abyss and you're not sure if you have a guy, usually, and I don't care what anyone says. You need a quarterback to win in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Giants situation obviously is different than the Jets because I feel like the Giants finally realized they actually have to rebuild as opposed to trying to do this weird, we're going to hybrid build and win. Where the Jets are a little further along and they think they have the quarterback. They hope they have the quarterback. I'm not sure yet. I think I'd say 2 years is probably the good off ramp because then the Giants should be out of their cap hell and they should have an idea of doing a quarterback. The Jets will be 3 years into Wilson. At that point, you'll probably have a good sense of who's actually going the right way.
You should. If I'm the Jets now, it's about building enough around him to see what we have.
Yeah. I think the Jet offseason, I think the key for the Jets is simply like, you know what? You have all these picks, you have all the draft, all the cap room and free agency. There are guys in free agency who could help you, especially the safety, but I know they have needs. To me, this cannot be another year for the Jets where your season's over in October. This has to be a year where you're not going to be the Bengals. You're going to go from, 4 wins to the Super Bowl next year. It's like you need to at least be, you're a big graphic guy, like a production guy. Like you need to be on that in the hunt graphic in December.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, like you should be in that 7-8 win range.
Yeah.
I think that's the progression that you hope to make. But I think they got to add. I mean, I think Zach Wilson needs more around him. I think you got something really nice in Michael Carter that came out of nowhere, so that certainly helps. But I think he still needs a playmaker at wide receiver. On the defensive side, I think you need some big bodies up front to get after opposing quarterbacks because you weren't able to get much pressure if at any last season. And again, I mean, you build that offensive line. That's just as important as having a quarterback.
Yeah, I'll throw 2 other ones out there. I know for sure they have needs. Number one is obviously both safety spots because Marcus May is a free agent coming off a torn Achilles. He's probably not coming back. You're going to need to get 2 starters back there. And they have not had a tight end in forever. They need to get somebody who can actually be a competent body compared to what they've been throwing out the last few years.
Yeah, I mean that would certainly help in a few places. Obviously, blocking if you could get someone who could do a little bit of both, and someone who could play a role in the pass game would definitely be helpful for Zach Wilson. That's a win-win if you could find that person.
Yeah, as far as the Giants side goes, I think honestly it's just take your medicine with the cap now. Your team is not that good. It's probably like a 31 or 32 out of 32 talent level in the NFL right now. I think just blow the thing up, get the cap in order, and then just start to build up because I think I think Joe Shane knows this too. The longer you prolong the pain, the worse it's going to get. So, I mean, it might mean saying goodbye to James Bradbury, still a good player in the league. It might mean saying goodbye to Blake Martinez, but they're not helping you by the time you're ready to win again.
No. And I think other players like Saquon Barkley figure it out. What are you doing? Is it time to move on? Move on. And start fresh. You have an opportunity to start fresh. It should be no surprise that you're in a rebuild. The fan base shouldn't have higher expectations or have many expectations at all. And truthfully, I start up front. Get Daniel Jones the protection that he needs. Okay, and see where you go from there. And if you have those guys in place, and Daniel Jones is a disaster, well, then the next year, you're looking for your quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously two other big picture stories I get to before we do the rapid fire round like we always do here is Tom Brady retiring because obviously he did it. I think prior to the Super Bowl, sort of got swept up for me and all the news about the lockout, about the Flores lawsuit and all that. So I can't like I still can't believe he actually is gone for good. I probably still thinks he's just holding out the door open to come back. But like if he does go, it's incredible to go out at the top of his game at 44. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like the guy has nothing more to prove. He's won a lot. If this is it for Tom, enjoy retirement, buddy. Like that's all I really could say. And if not, um, I could see him winning another one. I didn't expect him to step away this season. And that maybe that means he could potentially come back. Who knows? We've heard the rumblings already. I mean, he hasn't even been retired a month, and people are talking about him coming back. Um, a lot of former players say, when it's time. I know Tom Brady mentioned that he's got kids; they're getting older. He wants to be around. So I know maybe it is time for Tom Brady, but for him, he's got nothing. He doesn't need to prove it to anyone. He could lose every single game next season if he came back, and it wouldn't impact his legacy one bit.
Yeah, I think a thing for Tom also. I think wants to take some pride also on not having to be dragged off the football field because he looks like he doesn't have it anymore. I think sort of the idea of like going out like on the high note, dropping the mic before you're booed off the stage.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and obviously everyone's dream would probably be, if it was Tom Brady, walk off as a Super Bowl winner one more time, holding the Lombardi Trophy. But I mean, the fact that it's on his terms and he's commanding and he's saying, you know what, I think it's my time. I give him a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, and I think obviously the other big domino is still to come here is the Aaron Rodgers situation. He wins the MVP again. You're very familiar with the situation, and I feel like there's been movement from the last time we talked about this. I feel like now the door's open. I think he might be more willing to come back. I think he's looking around out there. It seems going on. It's like there's not many better spots for me than what I have right now.
I mean, here's the thing, Mike. If I knew what was next for Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in right now,
Yeah.
right? It'd probably be some serious NFL insider to say the least, right? Um, yeah, I mean, you look around the league. He's got to get traded first, right? If I'm Green Bay, you're not trading him in the NFC. You're not going to want to see him
Yeah.
or have to go through him to get to the Super Bowl. And if you're Aaron Rodgers and you look at the AFC, man, you're going to have to fight to get there. There's no easy path in the AFC. It seems based on the reports, and I mean, take it with a grain of salt, their reports, but what you're getting from Ian Rappaport and the likes, that things seem to be heading in the right direction in terms of him returning to Green Bay. Now it's a matter of Green Bay figuring it out cap wise to, bring him back. And with him back comes Devontae Adams, and see what else you can do, because it's going to be tough, but they're going to have to move a lot around to make it happen.
I mean, to me, the cap is not the biggest issue. I mean, we've seen the Saints do this for years where they're like 80 million over the cap, and all of a sudden they have all this money and they still sign big guys. So I think they kick the can as far down the road as they want to if Rodgers is willing to stay. And I think Rodgers, again, looks at it like if he's not going to the NFC, and the NFC now is leaker, and Tom Brady's retired and he's out of the mix, and you look at the scenario here. Yes, you have the Rams, and now there's rumblings that a bunch of the key guys in the Rams are going to retire. Dallas, who knows if you're going to get anything good out of the playoffs? Like, is there a better spot? Is it better if you be in Green Bay where you basically run your division and get the home seal again, or go to Denver and have to fight through Mahomes and Herbert in the division, or go to Pittsburgh and fight through the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Browns? Like, I would rather stay where I am.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, makes sense to us. But, ultimately it's going to be Aaron Rodgers who dictates what that is. The only thing I'll say is hopefully that decision is made sooner rather than later. You rip the Band-Aid off and you start to figure out what you have to do next.
Yeah, I think Rodgers knows too, after all of the kerfuffle this year, I think he's not going to want to drag it. I just want to be situated as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, not only for himself if he's going to continue to play, or if not, but also for the Packers. Like, they need to figure it out. The one thing I will say is if Rodgers is out, Devontae Adams is going to be out too. I think that's been made pretty clear. And you lose those two, and you got to go to the drawing board real quick.
Yeah, I think they saw what they saw at Jordan Love this year in that Chief game and in practice. I don't think they realize like, oh, we are screwed if he leaves us.
I mean, listen, are we going to judge Jordan Love just based off of that? We shouldn't. With that being said, I mean, he gave you a glimpse of what could be. You hope that that's not all he has, and that's just me trying to be somewhat optimistic. But I don't know. I mean, you go back to it, and I hate to bring it all back to that draft, but you may be in a different position right now as a team if you didn't trade up and get a quarterback.
Yeah, I think they thought that like Rodgers was closer to the end than he was when they made that trade. And you look at the situation here. I mean, I get it's hard to judge him off of one game, but again, they see him every day in practice. They know what he looks like. I wonder if it's possible this is a little bit like a Tebow with the Jets situation when they got excited again, and once again, they're like, oh boy, we made a mistake.
And I mean, if that's the assumption that the organization made, then I mean, that shame on them because there were no signs of a decline whatsoever. So I really dislike that narrative that they thought the time was coming. But again, there's so much that happens behind the scenes that nobody really knows that we don't know. So I don't know, man. But whatever it is, hopefully they figure it out soon.
Absolutely. And let's do a little rapid fire like we always do. I like to play that pick music one last time. So let's go ahead and do some other hot button things about the offseason here. So we're going to fire this up here, go rapid fire on all of these things. We're going to figure this out here. Some big issues. Deshaun Watson, is he playing? If he is, where?
He is not going anywhere. I don't think he plays either. I mean, here's the big thing with Deshaun Watson, right? Would you, if you're a team that needs a quarterback that could potentially win now, would you sacrifice a lot to bring in Deshaun Watson right now?
Not till the legal stuff is cleared.
Exactly. When is that going to be? When is that going to happen? I mean, a whole year went by and nothing happened. I don't think you could actually feel comfortable risking that without knowing what's happening next. I mean, truthfully, where do I think he ends up? The NFL's commissioner's exempt list. That's where I think he's ending up. He's going to end up.
I think the stuff gets cleared this offseason. I think he is going to get traded. I'm going to throw a dark horse out here because this is a team that kind of needs the jolt. The Browns.
Wow. That would be a huge shakeup.
Because I think it's a point where he realized like I got to get out of there, and now the floor is not Miami anymore. I think the path here is probably going to be just go somewhere with a good sporting cast. And Cleveland's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to hitch your wagon to the Browns. With that being said, I think everything needs to clear out. My main concern, though, is we went 1 year and we haven't gotten anything. So all of a sudden things are going to get figured out. I don't know.
Next up for the quarterback carousel is Russell Wilson leaving Seattle.
No, I think Russell Wilson stays in Seattle. I really do. I think he embraces what's going on, and he's focused on doing what he needs to do to be a part of that team. I think you'll see Seattle try to make some moves this offseason to improve this team, similar to Russell Wilson. I mean, yeah, where is he going to go with that makes his situation that much better? Maybe a Denver team, maybe, but then your path to the Super Bowl is so much harder. I think he stays put.
I agree with you. I think the Sean Payton coming off the board in New Orleans does take a lot of destination off the board for these quarterbacks too.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think everyone is floating around the same few teams in terms of where quarterbacks are going to go. Maybe Green Bay, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe the Panthers, Denver. I mean, we're hearing the same exact teams over and over again. And I don't know how likely it is that many, if any, move.
All right. Who is next year's Bengal? Who's going worst to first? Not to get the Super Bowl, at least just first place.
Are you saying Super Bowl? Because quite frankly, first place. Oh man, who is going first place? Oh God, Mike, that is the toughest question on the board right now.
Yeah.
Wow, you have stumped the Schwab right now. I need to pull up the standings and take a quick glance at it. Not the Jets, not the Broncos. What do we got here? The Ravens, maybe. Yeah. I mean, but they were 8-9, so like, how terrible were they? Jacksonville, I mean, they got to do a lot of work in Jacksonville to get it.
I think the answer is Seattle if Russell stays.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and to me, that's not even a worst to first, really that big of a situation, considering they won 7 games last year. I was trying to look for a team that really was terrible last season, and out of all those terrible teams, I think the Jags could make a potential jump, not a playoff jump, but I think they have some nice pieces that if they play their cards right in the draft, they could be sitting pretty.
All right, let's go the other way. What team fades the most next season?
All right, so in the NFC, I think you got to go with the Bucks. No Tom Brady. That team is all automatically to me off the board. I think Arizona, something's not right in Arizona. The way the season ended, the whole Kyler Murray now unfollowing everything on social media, take that with a grain of salt, but that's just weird to me. On the AFC side, I think the Steelers, they were already on the decline. I think they take a further step back. And I'd also throw the Raiders in the mix there. I think they did Rich Bisaccia, the Packers' new special teams coach, pretty dirty by not giving him a full-time position there, and I think it's going to end up hurting them.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on the Steelers there. I was gonna say I don't think New England is as good as they were this year. I feel like they're gonna fade too.
Yeah, I mean, with New England, they play some classic weird football that they don't do anything too pretty. So, like, I could see them in that 10-win category again, but not being that big of a threat.
All right, who replaces Ben in Pittsburgh?
I think Pittsburgh needs to roll with Mason Rudolph. I don't think it's the best idea, but I think you got to at least see, all right, what do we have? I mean, he's played a handful of games, and he wasn't terrible. He wasn't great. I think you see what he does when you fully know that he's going to have complete control. Give him the key to the car, and if it doesn't work out, you stink. You get your guy next year.
I'm gonna say that's where Jimmy G ends up.
Okay. I actually think Jimmy G is on the move this offseason. I don't think it's Tampa. I don't think it's Pittsburgh.
You think it's Tampa?
I do think it's Tampa. I think Jimmy G, once again, it's his time right after Tom Brady to take over.
That would be a fun story if Jimmy G goes there and does well with the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think if any quarterback's definitely moving, I think it's Jimmy G.
Yeah, I'm going to go off the board. I feel like I'm going to try for a big swing. I don't know how successful they'll be. I'll give a guy who's floating around, feels like a good second chance guy, Marcus Mariota.
You really have that much faith in Mariota?
I mean, he's been bouncing around for good systems, like as a team, as a good quality backup guy. I feel like they're going to say, you know, we'll give him a 1-year trial run.
I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with being that quality backup. You'll have a real long shelf life in the NFL.
Absolutely. Who spends the most money in free agency? Who's the winner of March?
I think you're going to see the Broncos spend a ton. I think you're going to see the Bengals, who just were in the Super Bowl. They have a lot of space in the NFC. I think the Seahawks. The Seahawks are going to probably try to convince Russell Wilson that they're going to do everything possible to make that team better. So they're going to spend. I mean, the Broncos have a ton of weapons. They get that quarterback situation figured out. They could be lethal. And I know we talked about how competitive and how tough the AFC is, but geez, like the Broncos could easily get themselves in a really good position next year. And if I'm the Bengals, I mean, look at who you just lost to. If you spend the money the right way, you know, you have Burrows young, you have Jamar Chase and other young weapons around them. You could get there a lot sooner than you think. Back there a lot sooner than you think.
I agree with those. I'll put the Jets up there too. They have a lot of money and a lot of needs they can fill on the market. I think they're going to be targeted, but I think they're going to spend a lot of money.
I could see it happening, and they should.
Yeah. Number 1 pick in the draft. Who is it?
All right, this is not going to be the sexiest pick, but I'm going Evan Neal. All right, I'm going the offensive lineman. And the reason why is you do everything that you can to start to build that offensive line for Trevor Lawrence. Protect your baby right now.
I'm going to go Aiden Hutchinson, the edge rusher from Michigan. I think it's the other option here. Is like you can either protect the quarterback or get after the quarterback. I think they're going to try and go after the quarterback. Yeah,
I mean, it's tough for me. Like I'll always say this, you'll never win without a quarterback. In this modern day football, you won't win without a quarterback. Do what you can to protect them.
All right. And last one. This is a little off topic. Opening day for baseball is when?
When is it? When was it supposed to be?
It's supposed to be March 31st.
Oh, I'm saying May 1st.
Saying May 1st.
May 1st.
I am going April 15th.
Okay, so you're meeting in the middle then. You're kind of in the middle there.
Yeah, and just for the fact that I'm going to talk about this more on the podcast next week here. Like, based on the timeline that's out there right now, they basically have to have an agreement in about 8 days to start spring training at a point where they can not miss games this season. And the way the owners negotiate, they're not going to get there.
I'll put it to you this way: if baseball had a brain, they would do anything possible to make sure that they figure this out this week and take over the news with it.
Yeah.
Right. Football's dead. I mean, how many more times are you going to talk about the Super Bowl from here on out?
Yeah.
Right. Here's your opportunity. Swoop in and make everyone talk about baseball. This is why baseball has continued and will continue to struggle. They never control the conversation.
No, because this is the point now. I think they have like a 2-day halo for the Super Bowl. And then after that, we're sitting there going, why aren't the pitchers and catchers at camp?
They have an awesome opportunity here, and they're going to sit on it, and everyone's going to continue to dislike baseball. It's pretty simple.
Oh, 100%. And I definitely want to thank you, Joe, for coming on. We're talking more about the lockout next week. I mean, hopefully we have an answer here because I know we're both baseball fans, but I'm not optimistic.
I mean, I'm not either. And at this rate, it's like, how can you even try to get excited for baseball? I know we're both Mets fans, so we should be a little bit more amped up than usual for the upcoming year. But how could we when, we don't even know when potentially game number 1 will be? They will play baseball this year. Who the hell knows when?
Yeah, who knows when? And Joe, thanks for all the time. People want to follow you on social media. How can they do that?
Yeah, Mike, of course, always a pleasure. You can follow me on social media on Twitter at Joe_. Don't forget the double.
Do not. You won't find him.
You won't find me. DALOISIO. Once Aaron Rodgers kind of figures out what he does, you could check out the Sharp Cheddar podcast, available on all podcast platforms. We will take a little bit of an off-season hiatus, but right around draft time, we'll get back going in a more of a frequent basis.
So basically, right now you're taking a break until Rodgers throws the bat signal up, and then you're gonna chime in.
Yeah, you know what? I can't just open the mic and just constantly assume and try to figure things out. So I've decided I've dealt with enough of heartbreak and heartache with the way that the season ended. Let's step away from it for a little bit until maybe Rodgers breaks my heart one more time and steps away from the Packers. So I'd rather wait.